First question. How did we meet?
Facebook.
How did that happen? Why were you on Facebook, young man? Facebook dating, to be specific.
I got tired of dating on Black because it seemed like it was just a bunch of not quality women. Seriously. Tinder was gone. It was just all the people who wanted to hook up, and I was not. I wanted a family. And then you have Bumble, which was like women respond first, but again, today's world, women have these options that they whatever. Not gonna get into it. And so Facebook, I know two people who had successful relationships on Facebook dating, including one person who was really close to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew on Facebook dating you can't really hide a lot of bull crap about you
Yeah.
because it's connected to your actual account. So that was the trust. So I figured if I find somebody decent, I'll find somebody on Facebook dating. And I met some quality people up there. I just didn't really have intentions of ever like meeting them in person. And so I kept going because I'm like, all right, it's legit.
Second question. How did you know I was the one?
So I knew you were the one because I went through a vigorous vetting process. And when I spent some time with you, there was nothing that felt forced. One thing that was awkward to me at first, because I'm used to the very opposite, was the fact that when I speak to you, you pause and you think about what you're saying. And normally when somebody pauses and thinks about what they're saying, it's because there's a lie coming, and then the difference is the pause comes, and then there's the stuttering and the fast talking, and blah, 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 blah. You would pause and give this very slow answer, and it made me think that you were a thinker. And when we had our conversations, our FaceTime conversations, a part of me highly felt like you were the one when we had that conversation and we stayed up all night talking. And you were at your job, and I was just helping you get through your shift. And I said to myself, and there was another night that I had to work in the morning. You were working, or you had to do something. We were on FaceTime, and we were on the phone for hours. It was like 4 a.m. we got off that phone call. Mm-hmm. And I just knew at that point, that was half of how I knew. Because I'm like, this is like back in high school days, man. I haven't talked to, there's no woman that I've been talking to that I've ever done that with, that I have not been serious with, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, man, like, it was just interesting. Then the second way I knew, and Ann knows this answer, the second way I knew is when she came to the house, and I don't want to share too much information, she came to the house and things were getting a little heated between us because it just felt like this tension, this energy that was bottled up. We knew we had hots for each other. We knew we had outs for each other, but we've been talking for like 8 weeks, and of course we both wanted it. And the time came, and it presented itself, and one thing led to another. And Ann stopped me in the middle and said, "I promised I wouldn't do this." And at that point, I was trying to hold it in, I promise. I was trying to hold it in, but my spirit kept saying, "Take that woman to the next level, man. You need to ask her out, Deke. You need to ask her out." And I don't think it happened that night. I think it came back another night.
Yeah.
And it was like the third night you came to the house, which was, at that point was like, a week. Like, that's how I knew, man. And I had to give up, and I asked her out because she's just an angel.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh. If we had to move somewhere tomorrow to another state, what would the state be?
Oh, it'd be California.
Why California?
Because the same reason I felt about Georgia, and still which I do, when I came to Georgia, because God told me that that was going to be my next move. It felt like home, and it still does. You know, God told me some years down the line from when I heard it that I'll be moving to California. And so when I got out there, maybe it's just sheer obedience. It just felt like home. Even going to some of the weird parts, it was like kind of weird, but in general, the atmosphere, the environment felt like home. And obviously I know what home is, but anywhere that God wants to send me, if God says, hey, I want to move you to, you know, Thailand at some point. You know, I guess I have to learn the language, but it'll feel like home because I'm being obedient to what He's telling me to do. Non-spiritual answer for YouTube or whatever, I guess. I love the weather, man. You know what I mean? The palm trees are amazing too. And just the general atmosphere, just it's clean.
Yeah.
It's clean.
It is clean.
It's clean, man. It's like the end all be all for like anybody that really that made it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Chick-fil-A.
If you were given $1 million and you had to spend it in 24 hours, what would you spend it on?
24 hours is a last minute. I'm probably gonna give a cheat code gem that whatever. I always have ideas, whatever. 24 hours is a last minute thing to have. But because I have 24 hours and you know I'm an investment mindset person, if you're talking about I have to spend it all, any one of the ideas that I have, I would figure out the laws overseas in India, figure out the laws overseas in Pakistan, and educate myself within 2 hours so that I can hire teams over there because they'll be up while we're asleep, right? 24 hours. I'm going to contact them and say, I need this done in the manner I need it done. And to them, their currency is going to be extremely lower than ours. I will tell them 30,000, 100,000, 15,000, etc. for your team to finish everything tonight. And it will be done that night. And I will spend it all on that because I still have the jobs that I have. But if I get that stuff done, that means all I have to do is work on the advertising piece of it. I ain't gonna buy no clothes. I ain't gonna buy nothing. I will spend, if I had to spend that whole $1 million tonight, it'll be in every single investment that I have right now.
So we've both been in some doozies of relationships, right? What are some common characteristics that you found in your exes that you saw were a consistent red flag that you ignored?
Common characteristics: selfishness, and the sense of taking safety, right? Provision, taking, I guess we say godly wisdom, taking a marriage for granted and not wanting to offer anything. And understanding that the anger that came from them treating me funny after the marriages, they both did the same thing, and I realized that there was nothing I can ever do to actually have them see me as who I am. And so I thought they were my friend, I thought they were this, I thought they were that, but both of them had an agenda. And when I got tired of being used, then that's when the demon wrath came out. But selfishness is definitely something common I saw in both of them.
If you had any advice for people looking for love online, what would you say to them?
My biggest advice for people looking for love online is to keep it simple, not in the sense of what you would think, right? Oh, well, just one picture in this. I would keep it simple. And although this may or may not work, I will make sure it's known that you say, these are the pictures of me. I am better in person. Make it funny, right? Much better in person, right? I wouldn't say something like melt in your mouth, not in your hand. But, make it personable and make it funny. But let it be known that you'll be better in person, that your interactions are better in person. And I would steer toward the hinges, right? So that you can somebody can see what you're like. How we do the songwriter says, never mind, I'll find. You have to be able to be more than just pictures because a dating app is already set up to be 87% failure because you're not meeting somebody in person. And remember, you're competing with a guy who has no problem walking up to her and saying, "Hey, mama, what you doing? What's going on?" Who has those characteristics. So make sure she knows that you are better in person. Don't be putting no bio. I know they say, I'm not swiping right on a guy who doesn't have a bio. Trust me, I posted a picture right next to my car and they swipe right on it and say, I want to figure something out. I said, okay, call this number. You have to let them know I'm better in person. I'm not going to let you get a perception of me off of a phone.
Why do you think our relationship has been successful so far?
I think our relationship success greatly depends on our transparency. And when we have our moments where we're not doing so hot, there's a conversation that's to be had, and after it's had, the relief that I get in my system is, wow, I feel like I know her a little bit more. The part of where relationships get hard is you don't want somebody to see the true you. So you don't want to tell your wife, yeah, I used to be addicted to porn. You don't want to tell your husband, yeah, I had a friends with benefits. You want to be honest. But when you're honest, you're showing them a piece of you. And what people crave in intimacy is knowing a piece of you, right? If I understand that you're not gonna use anything against me, I'm not gonna use anything against you. It's seeing into you, right? And so the times that we do have transparent conversations after we're not doing so hot, it feels good, right? It feels good, but the wasted emotion part is what I touch up on a lot. It's like we spent 4 days mad at each other when all we had to do was have a conversation. I wasn't mad at you. I was mad because you didn't allow me to see you. And so I think our relationship has really done well because of transparency. Other things for sure, but transparency is going to be the one.
Shut up. How important is sex in a relationship?
I can say from a man to a woman and from a woman to a man that sex is going to be one of the most important things in your relationship, and here's why. I'll start with the woman first. A woman knows that in her promiscuity to one man, that's how she gets them. Let's get slightly deep into it. A man is stoic. She will watch that man go to work, do things around the house. She'll watch him build stuff. She'll watch him build legacies, play with the dog, play with the kids, etc. But she sees him doing it in a manly way consistently. When she has sex with that man, especially if you think about it in her giving him head, that's the one time in her life, if she's dealing with a stoic man, that she will see that man in a vulnerable position, squirming and just, if he's, doing stuff with her and he's at that moment where he's breaking and busting that nut, that's an extremely vulnerable moment where she gets to see him not be stoic and he breaks down. And, that is amazing that she was responsible for that. And so she's going to feel good and wired in her mind to get that from him and her only. That's why she's so upset when she cheats. Like, I had the power to do that to you, not anybody else. A man is more simple. We just like sex with our woman because it helps us feel more connected. There's no way we connect with our woman. I don't care. We went on 10 dates. You give us a bunch of roses. If we ain't having sex with you, we just... It's just how we were designed.
How important is it for people in a relationships to be best friends before lovers?
This is a good one. And I'll define best friend. You only are the best friend of somebody when you're the best of yourself. Keep this in mind because I used to call myself best friends with somebody and an ex. But in my mind, in my heart of hearts, that wasn't my best friend because I had to dumb myself down for them. So anytime I wanted to elevate myself up, I had to come back down to meet them where they were. And so they thought that they were my best friend. And I'm saying I'm your best friend. But the truth of reality is I am a virtual version of what you want from me. And so you, for example, and me, for example, I am my best self that I think, right? Outside of losing weight, all that stuff. Mentally, I'm my best self. You mentally are your best self, so we are best friends. Now, that being said, I think it's extremely important for two best self friends to be best friends to each other, because in the heat of any battle, you guys will understand each other. One thing that I think about when Ann, and we say this all the time, when Ann goes through something and she can't provide to me something that I'm looking for, or something stupid happens or whatever, the first thing I say is, what the freak is she thinking, man? Like, and you might even be frustrated. And I'm sure she's like, man, what the hell is he thinking? Robert! You know what I'm saying? But it's because it's the general concern of our well-being in our mind first, right? It's subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have that, everything is transactional, everything. And if you have a complete transactional relationship, you might as well two be prostitutes.
What is a woman's role in a relationship?
A woman's role in a relationship is to be the absolute helpmate of a man. And a woman is to be the helpmate. The Bible says, do everything without murmuring and complaining. And we don't always do that. And the problem with a lot of men and women, when a man doesn't know where he wants to lead a woman, he'll be selfish. And so he'll say a lot of sweet nothings and all that stuff to get her wired, and she'll get wired, have sex, and when he's done playing with her, scooted to the side, she doesn't understand. So she lives with that hurt, she becomes that man, and she takes that to every other man, and the new man says, yo, what the F, like, I'm just trying to be good to you. She doesn't know what that means, because she thinks that the wiring is just as bad as the old man. And so she can't put herself in a position to be a helpmate, because she doesn't understand that every person is their own person. And also she doesn't know what she's looking for. A wife or a woman's job is to be a helpmate. If she does not know what a man is going to do in her life, she does not know, this is why you ask these questions. Go ahead and ask a man, what do you bring to the table? Ask her. If she doesn't know that, then she won't know, and she can't put herself in a position. But she is not to be anything else besides that. I know that's a boring answer, but life is amazing when you just say, hey, what do you need help with? How can I help you?
What is a man's number one responsibility in a relationship?
That's a loaded question. A man's number one responsibility in a relationship is going to be setting the stage for purpose. Something that men don't like to hear is if your relationship fails with your woman, in many instances, it's looked at as your fault. And a lot of times, that is correct. If not all the time, you can check that biblically if you want. That is correct. Now, a man searching out for purpose, he does not get purpose solely for himself. I'll say it again for all you guys. You do not cling to your purpose solely for yourself. You are supposed to provide. You are supposed to provide something for your children. You're supposed to create investments for your children and your family. You're not supposed to be focusing on your woman. And I know it sounds great, but a good woman will be happy with the time she gets if she is able to give you the time frames that she's looking for. But for the guys who solely focus on your women, it drives her up because she wants you to do what's natural to you. And when you don't, boy, she don't know where her future is going. A woman's entire life is based on survival. And a man's entire life is based on building for survival. Like, you know what I mean? So a man's number one job is to discover what the purpose is for the family.
10 years from now, we're married, have 50 kids, successful, living out dreams, aspirations. What is your message to us 10 years from now?
It's not always as it seems. She is not your enemy. I am not her enemy. If you understand that life's goal is to be together forever, then some of your approaches from the past that you've instilled would never have been one thing. If you can cling to the fact that you've made it these 10 years, you have already known that when you die and you leave, and you take in love from your wife, and that is coming from a place where she and you want to see the future. Keep that in mind every single argument you get into. You're not fighting each other. You're fighting the ways and trying to become one. And so keep that fight because it's going to be worth it. And keep your future in mind.
Thank you for being my best friend, my lover, my fighter, my supporter, my encourager, my everything. You're the best.
You're the best. Girl, come here, give me a kiss.